I know Kung Fu. This just came to my mind. Isn't The One a Jet Li movie?
Actually, if you do your research, Matrix actually predates Jet Li's The One by 2 years, so it is the direct inspiration for Jet Li's The One. I know. I've never seen the film.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Heads Project. I'm John Ordalaza, and today we're starting a brand new movie marathon. These are films that I've never seen before, so you will see a bunch of first-time watch movie reviews. We are starting today off with The Matrix. That's right. These films I've never seen before, so it's gonna be a very interesting experience. These date me a little bit. The first Matrix came out in 1999, a whole year before I was born, so let's dive into it, guys. Apologies if I sound a little wonky. I am slightly stuffy right now, but I'm okay enough to do a video. Let's dive into The Matrix and what it's about, how I feel about it. I'm not super into this first Matrix movie. I understand why people like it and why people have loved it when it was like the thing that came out. Because again, this is a 22-year-old film. I've seen just about everything else big from 2000 till now. This is the first time I'm ever being exposed to anything Matrix, with the exception of like the iconic shots that everyone loves and have been replicated in pop culture. Same thing with The Shining in certain moments in there. I've seen elsewhere first. I've seen shots replicating when Neo dodges all the bullets and when Trinity jumps up and it does a freeze frame 360 camera motion and then she kicks the person. I've seen those shots replicated elsewhere first. So to bring it back here, I gotta give it some leeway. I want to dive into The Matrix itself a little bit because it is a complicated concept, I think, and the movie presents it as a very complex concept, so much as so the characters don't fully understand and grasp the weight behind The Matrix and what it means. So my takeaway from the film is, modern day, 1999, The Matrix, from my understanding, The Matrix exists in the future. It's this digital world in the future. They guess it's around 21 something, and so 100 years later, and the world outside is all apocalyptic. It's destroyed, it's ruined, so I guess they live their normal lives as best as they can through the world of The Matrix. But they do these missions within the Matrix that sends them back to present day, outside of the Matrix into the real world, but it's not exactly them, it's a duplicate of them. And that ties into when we follow Neo into the Matrix and he's kind of reborn. I feel like that's like them duplicating his body so that they could send the duplicate to the past, into the real world, and do the missions while the real Neo is stuck inside the Matrix. I think if movies want to explain 100% beat for beat what their plot is or what a certain thing in their story is supposed to do, like, I'm okay with that. Just don't make it come across as rambly. But when they don't explain it enough, that could be good, but also detrimental to rewatchability and just overall grasping the entire film. I think they did a fine job here with everyone not having a full grasp on what The Matrix actually is and not really understanding it and not really describing it best to each other. Like, Morpheus seems like he has all the answers and has that vibe about him, but he really doesn't have all those answers. He wasn't able to answer every of Neo's questions, so I kind of liked that. I liked that mystery. We were entering the Matrix as Neo, the brand newbie to the Matrix, and I thought that was really cool. It was a good way to go about the film. My idea of the Matrix going into the film was that every single shot that I've ever seen of this film that had a green tint on it, I thought that was going to be The Matrix, and the real world I just never saw in any shots or anything. But no, the green tint and everything is the real world, so to speak. And The Matrix is like this grungy spaceship type thing that they all chill in with these rags of clothes. It looks like it's straight out of Terminator Salvation for me. And Yeah, it was odd. That entire movie, I've never seen that whole side of the movie before. Like, never seen any shots from that part of the movie. I've always seen Neo and Trinity and Morpheus just duked out in leather and suits with sunglasses on, just shooting people up. That's how I thought the film was gonna be throughout. I had no idea that they were gonna be like chilling on this spaceship-like thing, going to sleep, exiting the Matrix as they're not so real bodies. It's kind of like in the style of Inception almost, like how they do missions in people's dreams, only when they die in the dream, they would just wake up. In Matrix, if you die in the present day, in the real world, you die in real life, in the Matrix. Or, I think I'm overcomplicating it. I don't know, but I think it all comes down to personal opinion. And if you personally think that the film didn't convey what the story was and how exactly things work in this world very well, that comes down to your opinion, if you enjoyed it or not. Let's move on to the characters real quick. I think Keanu Reeves, Kirian Moss, and Lawrence Fishburne are great in the movie. They have really cool and dope characters. I love them all. I think they're actually really cool and engaging characters. Neo, I'll take that back a little bit because he's kind of like, he's the audience's eyes. He's there just as much as you are. He doesn't really have that much of a character. He's kind of, teased as being the one throughout the whole movie, but he's really a nobody up until that point when he discovers that he is the one. The one that can, I guess master the Matrix? They never really described what the one would be, but I guess the one can't die in the Matrix or something because that's revealed at the end. The movie's 22 years old. I'm going to spoil it, of course. But it's revealed like when he gets shot by Agent Smith, he just gets right back up. And that's when it's revealed that he's the one. And then he stops bullets. He can like airbend and crap. It's kind of cool. The visual effects, let's just go right into there. We'll come back to the other characters. Visual effects, when it comes to that specific scene of like when he's revealed as the one, wasn't too hot for me. Like, I get it. It's a product of its time. They tried different things that have never been done before, I guess, in movies. It's hard for me to sit back and watch something that I think looks a little wonky. For the most part, it's solid CGI. It's not all bad. It's not all eye-catching. There's a shot early in the film where Trinity jumps from one building to another, like dives nose first into a window, and that's straight up, like you could see the green screen and everything. It feels unreal to me. But everything else, for the most part, is done pretty well, I think, with the exception of some of the bullet effects and how they have like these clouds that follow them when Neo stops them. I didn't really care too much for that shot, but for the most part, nothing looked crappy. Like, those two shots that I mentioned were the questionable ones, but everything else, for the most part, I was pleasantly surprised to see in a 1999 film. I think that Kirian Moss deserved way more in this film. Like, they introduced her in the first act of the film, the first 5-10 minutes, as a badass chick, and I was all there for it up until she got kind of sidelined once we got introduced to Neo into the world of the Matrix, and then we got introduced to Morpheus, who's probably the best character in this entire film, in my opinion. Lawrence Fishburne, come on, he's a great actor. I first saw him in Man of Steel, and I've been seeing him little bits here and there. I saw him next in the John Wick films. I enjoy his presence. He's a great actor, and I love his serious take of Morpheus. Like, I just liked it. It was really cool, and yes, he didn't have all the answers, but I liked that he carried himself in a way that he did, and that he made Neo believe in him despite not knowing everything about the Matrix. And that's a really cool thing to do, like a really cool character trait, and it makes me care about Morpheus. Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith, it's probably my second favorite in the film. I think he's really cool, really menacing too. I don't understand his character and like what he is. Is he a byproduct of the Matrix? Is he from this alternate reality dimension world? I don't know, but he's able to do all these superpowered things, and they don't explain it. And they don't really need to. I kind of liked it in that sense. I liked when characters can do things and they don't really explain it right out of the gate. There's 2 more movies. Maybe they'll explain Agent Smith's origin or something. But I like what they did here. And I really enjoyed his fight scenes with Neo. And we're going to nose dive right into those fight scenes real quick and the action overall. The kung fu in this film is probably the best parts of the action in general. I love the hand-to-hand combat. I think Neo's fight with Agent Smith in the subway is the best fight scene in the whole film. Don't at me on it, because it's true. It's some of the best stuff in the movie, in my opinion. The other parts of the action that I wasn't really into were the gunfights. And look, I'm all for like shootouts in movies. If you do them right and just do them entertainingly, then I'm all for it. But this movie does it in a way that is kind of irritating and unpleasant to look at. In my honest opinion, that's how I feel when they're just in slow motion, and I don't have a problem with slow motion. I do like slow motion. When it's done correctly, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think it can be very effective and really dope to look at. But the majority of these gunfights are in slow motion, and you can just see all these walls being shot at, and they're shooting bullets through the walls, and now there's debris going across the screen left and right of the walls, and in the midst of all the debris, there's Trinity with 2 guns shooting. All I can see is debris and then a flash in the background from her gun. It's like, what? I found the gunfights to be a little overdone, and I really wish they stuck to a hand-to-hand combat thing. That would have been really cool. I wanted to see more of those fights. I hope we get more hand-to-hand combat in the next 2 films. Something that did not work for me at the end of this film is right before Neo is revealed to be the one, he's slowly dying. He just got shot up by Agent Smith. And in the Matrix on the ship or whatever, Trinity is like whispering to him. She says something like, I know what the Oracle said. So the Oracle is this lady that you'd go to see, and you know, she'll tell you something about your future or whatever. And she said, I'll tell you what the Oracle said to me. She said, I fall in love with the one, and you can't be dead, Neo, because I love you. I don't know if I missed something, but I truly don't remember a scene prior to that moment when she said that to Neo where there was any tension, any romantic chemistry between the two. Other maybe they were like real up close in one scene and almost kissed, but there was no real connection and spark between them. So that really came out of nowhere for me when she said that. I feel like if she said, you can't be dead, Neo, because you're the one, would have been a much better line to end that little monologue with, instead of, you can't be dead, Neo, because I love you. Because the movie's not about the love of Trinity and Neo, because we're just getting introduced to it in the last 10 minutes. It was not a thing in the first 2/3 of the film. It wasn't. Saying you can't be dead, Neo, because you're the one ties it into the end because he becomes the one. Overall, this movie didn't really make me fall in love with the franchise of The Matrix, and it didn't get me hyped for the franchise. I still think it's a really cool and dope concept, but I gotta see the other 2 movies before I form my opinion on The Matrix as a franchise, as an IP, because it's got some cool stuff in it. I love that kung fu stuff. But if the other 2 movies can tie things in and create some explanation for some things that were left empty-handed in the first film, then I might feel a little different. But as of right now, this movie is just kind of like it existed. I watched it, I had some fun. Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, is interesting. I do appreciate his work. I don't think he's a terrible actor, and I really do like Kirian Moss and Lawrence Fishburne in the movie. They're probably my 2 favorites. Oh, you can't forget about Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith. Really great. So guys, that is my review for The Matrix. The first time watch. I've never seen it before, and those are my thoughts. So be kind. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys. I'm going to be covering The Matrix Reloaded, The Matrix Revelations, all in the lead up to The Matrix Resurrections. It comes out December 22nd, so look out for that review here on the Hess Project. Stay tuned, guys, because there is more to come.